Let's talk about the Beekeeper.
Everyone, need your attention, please. I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Okay, so Jason Statham stars as the Beekeeper, and this movie is hilarious because I get to play video games maybe once every 2 to 3 months, and I happen to play with one of my friends, and his name recently changed to the Beekeeper. But this was before anybody knew about the movie, and I just happened to look it up on IMDb. I said, that would be hilarious. This is like a movie that Jason Statham would star in, and he would be the Beekeeper, right? And he would go kick butt. And then we actually looked it up on IMDb, and I swear to you, we were joking about Jason Statham starring in a movie called The Beekeeper, and then it was so. And it was only about 2 months after that they started releasing trailers. So this was a movie that I've been anticipating for a while, and I'm sorry I've been gone. I have watched a couple movies. We have just been so overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff going on in the house that I haven't been able to release any reviews. However, I'm gonna kind of throw them out there now. Sorry about being late to the party, but here we are. Now, The Beekeeper is a good movie. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but here's what I love about this film, okay? Jason Statham makes any film elevated, in my opinion, probably because he is just likable, right? He's respectable. He always plays a very grounded, very serious character, one that has, you know, kind of a humble, dedicated lifestyle. So he kind of plays this character that I resonate with. It's somebody that I would look up to and somebody that you would admire. I think that's why people love that character so much. He's kind of like this ideal man, right? Another thing I love about this movie is that it harkens back to the action films of the 90s and early 2000s. That was the best era by far of action films. So this is kind of what I grew up watching, and I like that they harken back to it. Another thing I like is that they talk about, maybe not in the most accurate way, but they talk about online scams and how people are scamming elderly folks out of their retirement, out of their trust funds, you know, whatever that might be. They're scamming people in this movie, and he basically pays a personal vendetta back on a scammer that hurts somebody that he loves. So that's really all I'm going to say about the story. The story is not the important part. The important part is Jason Statham going and kicking butt. Now, there's a lot of cliche here, right? Because he kind of does this in every single movie. But I think it's done pretty well here. There's a lot of action. So if you like action and you kind of like the vibes of these 90s, early 2000s movies, then you're going to like this film, most likely. I think the only thing I don't like about it is it's kind of ham-fisted together. The story really is not put together sequentially in a perfect way. Or I should say sometimes the movie felt closed down because lack of establishing shots, or it would go from someone being on the phone calling somebody and you seeing their conversation, and then that same person, in one instance I can think of, Jeremy Irons is on the phone with somebody, and then Jeremy Irons is on the phone with somebody else in a different location, but there's nothing in between. So we don't cut to something else and then it brings us back. It's almost like he was on the phone and then he hangs up and now he's in a brand new location, he's on the phone again. It just didn't really make sense. So there were some times where the story was a little bit rough and you could tell they didn't really have it all together when they were making it, and they probably didn't want to do reshoots or ham-fist some other scenes in there. It just was kind of weird. It was a little bit disjointed at times. Not the important part, but that does take me out of it a little bit. So kind of as a writer, you know, and somebody who does this as part of their passion and their love and their job, is like, that really bothered me. So some people might not notice it. I definitely noticed it. So story is mediocre at best. Action is pretty darn good, right? There's some really enjoyable things here. There's some unbelievable things here, a lot of unbelievable things here because one guy is like a superhuman taking out all these people. There's a lot of hilarious bee talk, right? Bees are incredible, by the way. I think they're absolutely fascinating. I think they're incredible insects, and they help our world. And since my friend started becoming a beekeeper and he actually is helping other people do the same, I actually have more respect for bees now because I'm learning some things about them. And they talk a little bit about it in the film. It's not over the top in my opinion because I think it's really cool that they're bringing awareness to it. And I really think it's cool that they're bringing awareness to scammers. And the whole thing is like a scam revenge plot. And I freaking love that because these people that scam elderly people out of their money, I think are some of the lowest forms of human being on the planet. And, you know, I hope they all come to justice, like every single one of them, and like in a very harsh way. And I'm not saying anybody should be murdered or anything like that. Definitely not agreeing with the tactics of the movie. However, I do think balance needs to be restored in that area. And this is kind of a nice like fantasy piece. It's almost like if you remember the movie Inglourious Bastards, that's kind of like Tarantino is like, I wish this is what happened to Hitler, right, and the Nazis. This movie's kind of like, I wish this is what would happen to scammers in like a really over-the-top way, right? So it's kind of a revenge story. Maybe the writer of this movie, his grandma got some money taken from her. I don't know, but I kind of love what they do here. So is this a movie that you should go see in theaters? Well, yeah, I think it is, and I'll tell you why. Because I think we should support movies that are not shoving an agenda down your throat. They're telling a fun story. They're entertaining you for 2 hours. I had nobody on earth except for scammers doesn't want these people to get payback, right? So this movie is for everybody except for this extremely small subsection of dirty people, right? So this movie is for everybody to go enjoy. There's not that much gore, believe it or not. Just a lot of great fight scenes. There is a little bit of gore at the end. The one thing that slows this movie down and drops it down a little bit for me is the gratuitous use of the F-bomb. Totally not necessary. Other than that, though, I think it's really fun. I would like, if you like this kind of movie, go support it in the theaters just so they know, like, hey, this is what we're looking for. We're not looking for some agenda, some political BS. We just want to have fun. We just want to get entertained. Unlike Aquaman, which was a 2-hour propaganda piece about global warming. Absolutely atrocious movie. It's one of the worst stories I've ever seen, and honestly, totally disjointed and stupid. This movie, however, was pretty fun. So for that, I'm going to give it a 6.5. Thank you, Jason Statham, for being awesome.
We have to kill him before he kills his way to the top.
Honey?